In 1986, I learned a leadership principle from an unlikely source that remains tattooed on my brain some 35 years later. I've been fascinated with motorcycles practically since I was able to walk. After settling into college life, I wanted one of my own in the worst of ways. But I also knew I had a lot to learn before hitting the street. So I enrolled in the basic rider course offered by the state of Illinois, something I highly recommend for any rider at any experience level. It was there, in the midst of a minor dose of fear and a major adrenaline rush, that I learned the acronym SIPDE. SIPDE was the repetitive process used to teach riders how to drive defensively. They have since simplified it, but I'm a huge fan of all 5 steps involved in the original version. SIPDE: scan, identify, predict, decide, execute. Scan the road ahead and the mid-range horizon. Identify pathways to your route and potential threats or obstacles that could get in your way. Predict what could happen next in the path unfolding before you. Decide your course of action, either what it takes to proceed along your desired route or to avoid said threat or obstacle. And finally, execute the decided course of action. Scan, identify, predict, decide, execute. And we are to perform this process continually, over and over and over again. Riding a motorcycle is a very active exercise. Conscientious business leaders regularly perform a very similar process, albeit likely in a much less formal way. I doubt many of us have an acronym for it, but maybe we should. Personally, I believe articulating each of the steps in this simple process gives us a foundation for purposeful and intentional leadership action. If you get lazy on a motorcycle, it will jump up and bite you before you know it. The same is true in business. As leaders, we are to be actively engaged in a fast approaching future reality. Because if we're not, that upcoming reality will jump up and bite us before we know it. In order to remain upright and to maintain forward momentum, we must scan the road ahead and the mid-range horizon, looking for anything that might get in the way of our progress. Identify pathways to success toward our destination and potential threats or obstacles that could get in our way. We don't know the future, but we have to predict what we think might happen next. And based on that prediction, we have to decide a course of action to either proceed on the desired route toward our vision or to take evasive action to avoid unnecessary and costly collisions. And then finally, we need to execute the decided course of action. Skip any of these steps, and there could be serious trouble for you and your organization. SIPDE: scan, identify, predict, decide, and execute. It's an active, repeatable, almost never-ending process. But remember, this process isn't a burden. At the end of the day, SIPDE is what allows us to truly enjoy the ride, because we'll know that we are ready for whatever might come our way. In the spirit of spring and the riding season just ahead of us, have a fantastic rest of your day.